In this video, we're going to examine 4 key principles that come out of Delaware law that really are important as we start to rethink risk and rethink value drivers in companies. And these are not new concepts. I think the way to think about them, though, in different subject areas isn't really something that we've seen other risk professionals do. And I think it's important to really start to change the context of these discussions so that we're really all aligned. And you can see from the accompanying blog post that from the business judgment rule, we see that among directors' duties is establishing and overseeing the corporation's long-term business plans and strategies. You also see from a case like Marchon, which is the Bluebell case, that the directors have a duty to exercise oversight and monitors the corporation's operational viability, legal compliance, and financial performance. And so if you put those together, and I would probably change the word, and have changed the word, viability to resiliency, you can see there's 4 concepts we can pull from that. And these are certainly not the only places these appear in Delaware law, but they are important places given the importance of the business judgment rule, as well as obviously the Marchand or Bluebell case in Delaware fiduciary duty litigation. And so what that really means is we have business strategy and financial performance in green in the accompanying blog post as the value drivers, and operational resiliency and legal compliance as the 2 risk controls. And that's an important concept because that is the base of how we'll build governance, or what governance really ties out to. But it also starts to get us into this distinction of risk versus root cause. I would say that really there are 2 risks and 2 value drivers, the 2 risks being obviously resiliency and legal compliance. And when you talk about cyber, you talk about data, you talk about any kind of other issue that may impact your company, those are really root causes, because at the end of the day, the duties that are owed under Delaware law tie out to these 4 boxes, not necessarily cyber. Now, we can get into a discussion of the SEC requirements and cyber, which aren't obviously Delaware law issues, but it is something that people will from time to time ask me. The SEC requirements for cyber, to pick on those, really are legal compliance related issues. Now, they do bleed over into resiliency, and if I'm talking SEC requirements, it's quantitative versus qualitative risk rather than resiliency and legal compliance. And as we'll explore, I think those 2 sets of concepts actually really just marry up, and we're talking about the same thing using different words. But at the end of the day, the way certainly I think directors should be thinking through some of these risk issues differently is to really always tie whatever issue you're talking about back to, does it create a resiliency risk for the company? Does it create a legal compliance risk for the company? There will be issues where you need to deal with them in context like cyber with subject matter experts to get them handled accurately and appropriately. But ultimately, I think what people have to keep in mind is really these 4 boxes. And again, we will use these to build out our governance models, including our nested governance model that we've talked about before. So thanks for your time and watching the video, and we'll continue to explore these concepts in future videos.